land upon which our congregations in Woodbury and Meriden make their home was not empty wilderness when Europeans first arrived in Connecticut. From now on, the opening of our services will acknowledge this as a step on the road to justice. There are 5 state-recognized indigenous tribal nations in Connecticut: the Mashantucket Pequot Tribal Nation, the Mohegan Tribal Nation, the Eastern Pequot Tribal Nation, Golden Hill Pocusset Indian Nation, and the Sagatoke Tribal Nation. The Mattatuck UU Society and the UU Church in Meriden acknowledge that our congregations occupy the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of these nations. In offering this land acknowledgement, we commit to learning more about these hosts and neighbors, and we affirm indigenous sovereignty, history, and experience. Good morning. I'm the Reverend Tony Lorenzen, and I'm really happy that you can join me in the Unitarian Universalist Church in Meriden and the Mattatuck Unitarian Universalist Society this morning as we begin a month-long celebration on the theme of stillness. During the month, we will cover many of the season's religious holidays and look at how we might find moments of stillness and calm and how that works for each of us. Today, we will celebrate Bodhi Day, the day we mark Buddha's enlightenment sitting under the Bodhi tree. Being Unitarian Universalists, we always begin our services by lighting the symbol of our faith tradition, which is the flaming chalice. Please join me with the words of the chalice lighting, which will appear on your screen. The chalice flame guides us during this time of festivals of light. It beckons us onward as we seek enlightenment. May we follow its fire to our heart's truth and share its light with others.
Greetings, Unitarian Universalists. For so many reasons, this holiday season is different than any in memory. Dearly held traditions that bring us joy are pared down, virtual, or canceled altogether. Many of us are tired and grieving. We have lost too many loved ones this year: elders, mentors, family, friends. This is true in our personal lives, it is true in our congregations, and it is true for our faith as a whole. And grief always weighs heavier in the holidays, especially in a year such as this. One of the things that is keeping me grounded these days is remembering to stay in the present rather than dwelling on what cannot be. I welcome grief, yes. I welcome the emotions present in my heart and in my life, yes. And I stay present and open to what is before me today. The gift of sky, of sun, of earth, of stars, of life, of friends and loved ones. It is a challenge to shift my perspective away from what is missing, but when I do, when I'm able to stay in the present and let go of longing for what has been in the past, I find that there is a powerful yes waiting in this moment. A yes in a year full of negation and despair, an affirmation that the world is calling forth from us in this great season of turning, in this season of generosity and goodwill and peace. There is a yes. May we in this season, unlike any before, invite gratitude for the gifts that have emerged and continue to be present this year. We witness what can happen when people help one another and prioritize community over the self. We have become connected in ways new and different, ways that have allowed more people to connect to community and ministry. And at a time that has presented profound challenges, our communities have grown strong in both spirit and in faith. Instead of focusing on what cannot be, may we create new practices of gratitude and meaning that reflect the generosity, the humanity, and the compassion that are needed in our world today, and that are needed to foster more love and more justice for the future. And may all of you, each of you, may we all find time to slow down this season and set aside the pressure and hecticness that is so often a part of the holidays. That has never been particularly helpful. So this year, when so much has been asked of us again and again, we all need and deserve rest. May you have rest this season. As I sit in the beautiful darkness of this season, I am reminded that life is nurtured in darkness, that seeds take root in the darkness of the soil, that babies are formed in the dark of the womb. The world is asking something new of us, and something new can be born from this time. And as we light candles, like we always do in this season, in ritual and celebration, let us embrace the mystery and the possibility of this very special time. In this season, I send you my love, my prayers, my care, and so many, many blessings to each and every one of you.
We have become connected in ways that are new and different, ways that have allowed more people to connect to community and ministry. Those words we just heard from UUA President Susan Frederick Gray, and indeed, we have lost so much that we used to take for granted, whether it's the ability to safely gather with family and friends in this holiday season that is now upon us, or the ability to gather in our congregations and celebrate the values that we hold in community. So many things we've been forced to put aside. Let us remember that as we enter this season when light seems so scarce and darkness comes early, that light will come again. Warmth will come again. We will be together again. Among the things that so many of us have missed in this pandemic time that we're in is the ability to come together in song. Singing together is a ritual that brings a richness to our communal gatherings and a richness to our lives. Over the last few months, we've shared a number of musical offerings from many, including virtual choir offerings from our sister congregations across the country. And it gave some of us this idea: why not put together a virtual choir of our own? And so we have. Over the coming months, we hope to grow this ministry made up of members and friends of both congregations, as well as friends of members of both congregations excited to share this gift of singing together in new and different ways. This is our first of what we hope to be many offerings of song. Another that we're working on, and it's still in its infancy, we're going to share a little later in this service this morning as well. There's room for you to become part of this choir and our songs. If you're interested, please contact me or Ann Quackenbos, and we'll help you understand how you too can become part of what we are now calling the UUOne Virtual Choir. Join with us together at home this morning in song for this first presentation of the UUOne Virtual Choir, There Is a Time.
There is a time that we must rise.
There is a time that we must stand. There is a time that we must come to
Oh, hey, how you doing? Looks like I'm probably setting up a Christmas tree, right? Well, it is a Christmas tree, and I got lights on it, but I'm actually getting ready for a Buddhist holiday called Bodhi Day. Bodhi Day is where we as Buddhists celebrate the enlightenment of the Buddha. After meditating for quite a while under a Bodhi tree, he went ahead and found enlightenment. So what we do on Bodhi Day is we get a ficus tree, preferably the one that the Buddha sat under, but if you can't, for example, I don't have even a ficus benjamina tree, I'm using just a Christmas tree, and it has on the multicolored lights. Now the multicolored lights are really important because this celebrates different paths of enlightenment that you can take. So getting multicolored lights is essential for this part of the holiday. Now you don't have to use a Christmas tree, you don't have to, put up on a tree altogether. You put it around your house. There's lots of different websites out there. Some have little Bodhi leaves with multicolored lights in them. You can get those if you want to. Let's talk realistically. You probably already have a Christmas tree. If you're in a Western country like I am, just go ahead and use this. It's a great, fantastic way to go ahead and celebrate Bodhi Day. Now you'll keep up your lights for 30 days. So December 8th, 30 days, you can keep up the lights. And I have some more tips and suggestions on celebrating Bodhi Day on my website if you're not already there. For example, if you're watching this on YouTube, go down to the description. There is a link to the article on Bodhi Day, and you have a great one.
A reading from the Gospel of Thomas, saying 70. Jesus said, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you." Wisdom from Thich Nhat Hanh. Life is a miracle, and being aware of simply this can already make us very happy. The source of love is deep in us, and we can help others realize a lot of happiness. One word, one action, one thought can reduce another person's suffering and bring that person joy. If you love someone, the greatest gift you can give them is your presence. The miracle is not to walk on water. The miracle is to walk on the green earth, dwelling deeply in the present moment and feeling truly alive.
Find the stillness, hold the stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony.
In 6th grade, I played the part of Portly Gentleman Number 2 in my school's musical production of A Christmas Carol. Portly Gentleman Number 2 was one of the people who walks into Scrooge's counting house and asks him for a donation for the poor. I tried out for the part of Scrooge, but had neither the acting ability nor the voice to sing to pull it off. However, a drawing I made of the Christmas yet to come ghost was used for the program for the performances, and that was wonderful. That is my entire acting career until I was an adult. Dickens is a master storyteller, and it's no wonder that the popularity of A Christmas Carol endures. We can all in many ways relate to Scrooge and his journey from darkness to light, his spiritual rebirth, his awakening, his passage through a dark night of the soul, if you will, to redemption and enlightenment on the other side is something that continues to ennoble us and inspire us. Throughout the story, the images of light appear and reappear, giving hints towards the state of enlightenment. As the story begins, there are low fires shedding hardly any light or warmth in Scrooge's counting house. And when Scrooge's nephew leaves, they go out. Scrooge's quarters, we are told, were dim and dingy and dark. Darkness was cheap, and Scrooge liked it, Dickens writes. The fire, however, leaps in the grate when Marley's ghosts arrive. The ghost of Christmas past had a light springing from the crown of its head, bright and clear. The ghost of Christmas present announces himself with light flooding into Scrooge's room, the very core and center of a blaze of ruddy light which streamed upon it when the clock proclaimed the hour, and which, being only light, was more alarming than a dozen ghosts. There's a blazing fire in the room where the ghost of Christmas present sits. Such a mighty blaze went roaring up the chimney as that dull hearth has never known in Scrooge's time. And the ghost itself bore a glowing torch in shape not unlike Plenty's horn, and held it up to shed its light on Scrooge as he came peeping round the door. As the ghost of Christmas past takes Scrooge around, the torch sprinkles its light on food and people, enriching in spirit everything that it falls upon. The ghost of Christmas yet to come gives us an image of darkness before dawn, one giant heap of black, gloom and mystery, while the Cratchit's house in the future, even with their bad news of Tiny Tim's death in the future, is lighted cheerfully. On Christmas morning, no fog, no mist, clear, bright, jovial, stirring cold, and glorious sunlight, heavenly sky, sweet fresh air, merry bells, oh glorious, glorious. The trials are over, morning has come, it's Christmas Day, and all is alight after Scrooge's enlightenment. This week, on December 8th, marks another annual feast of celebrating enlightenment. It's Bodhi Day, the day Buddhists celebrate the enlightenment of the historical Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, sitting under the Bodhi tree. Siddhartha is a rich prince, disgusted with his riches, and he gives it all up and becomes an extreme ascetic, begs for food, gives up all his possessions, and prays all the time. Finally, he realizes this extreme is just as bad as the extreme wealth, and he begins to look for a middle way, and he sits under a tree and meditates upon it. The story is not unlike Scrooge's. He is visited by unearthly beings, Mara, the destroyer, over 3 night watches, during which he gains 3 knowledges. In the first watch, he learns release from samasa. We are always creating new worlds. On the second watch, he learns of karma and action. We are our actions. Not what goes around comes around, but we must always accept, be responsible for, and deal with the results and consequences of our actions. In the third watch, he learns the Dharma, the 4 noble truths. The world contains human suffering. The cause of suffering is desire and ignorance. The reality of nirvana, or release from suffering, and attachment to the endless cycles of death and rebirth. And the method of release from that suffering, the 8-fold path. Right understanding, right thought, right speech, right livelihood, right action, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. When the morning sun rises, he is the Buddha, one who is awake, wise, enlightened. Scrooge and Buddha have similarities with you and me. Neither's perfect. Buddha abandons his wife. Scrooge is a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, and we all know his miserly character. Both fail miserably. Buddha failed at being a poor beggar, failed at being a prince. Scrooge failed at getting rich. He was not a good rich man, did nothing with his wealth. But neither are failures. Both are examples of people who learn, become enlightened, wise, and teach others. Both struggle with unearthly powers. They face down their own demons, Maras, ghosts of Christmases yet to come. Both teach us that we are usually our own greatest enemy. Both realize the danger of ignorance. Forgive me if I am not justified in what I ask, says Scrooge to the ghost of Christmas present, as that ghost is ready to depart him. He looked intently at the spirit's robe, but I see something strange and not belonging to yourself protruding from your skirts. Is it a foot or a claw? It might be a claw, for the flesh there is upon it, was the spirit's sorrowful reply. Look here. From the foldings of its robe it brought 2 children, wretched, abject, frightful, hideous, miserable. They knelt down at its feet and clung upon the outside of its garment. Oh man, look here, look down here, exclaimed the ghost. They were a boy and a girl, yellow, meager, ragged, scowling, wolfish, but prostrate too in their humility. Where graceful youth should have filled their features out and touched them with its freshest tints, a stale and shriveled hand like that of age had pinched and twisted them and pulled them into shreds. Where angels might have sat enthroned, devils lurked and glared out menacing. No change, no degradation, no perversion of humanity in any grade, through all the mysteries of wonderful creation as monsters half so terrible and dread. Scrooge startled back, appalled. Having them shown to him this way, he tried to say they were fine children, but the words choked themselves rather than be party to a lie of such enormous magnitude. Spirit, are they yours? Scrooge could say no more. They are humanity, said the spirit, looking down upon them, and they cling to me, appealing from their fathers. This boy is ignorance, this girl is want. Beware them both and all of their degree, but most of all beware this boy, for on his brow I see that written which is doom, unless the writing be erased. Deny it, cried the spirit, stretching out its hand toward the city. Slander those who tell it ye. Admit it for your factious purposes, and make it worse, and abide the end. It's a chilling scene that is left out of most theatrical and film productions of this story. And yet in the age of conspiracy theories and fake news and people seeming to divorce themselves from what is real, it's as powerful as it was when it was written. Both Scrooge and Buddha call us to be present to the everyday, the present moment, the right now. We miss this sometimes due to shopping, TV, pandemics, football games, worry. Gary Snyder writes, all of us are apprenticed to the same teacher that the religious institutions originally worked with, reality. Reality Insight says, master the 24 hours. Do it well without self-pity. It is as hard to get the children herded into the carpool and down the road to the bus as it is to chant sutras in a Buddha hall on a cold morning. One move is no better than the other. Each can be quite boring, and they both have the virtuous quality of repetition. Repetition and ritual and their good results come in many forms. Changing the filter, wiping the nose, going to meetings, picking up the house, washing the dishes, checking the dipstick for oil in the car. Don't let yourself think these are distracting you from more serious pursuits. Such a round of chores is not a set of difficulties we hope to escape from so that we may do our practice, which will put us on the right path. All of this is our path, and all of it part of our practice. As we enter a month where we focus on the theme of stillness, we look at these two stories, and there may not seem to be on the surface a lot of stillness in them. Scrooge goes on many adventures, and yes, Buddha sits still, but faces down many demons during the night watches, and there's a lot of learning going on. Stillness works differently for each of us, but stillness, I think, no matter how it works for us, is where we learn the deep things that lead us to greater awareness, to enlightenment, if you will. Both Scrooge and the historical Buddha are bodhisattvas, someone who has gained the wisdom of the Dharma, but instead of dwelling in nirvana, remains to teach others here on earth. Instead of remaining in a state of perfect nirvana, the Buddha becomes also the first bodhisattva. He gets up from the tree. He decides to teach others, establish monasteries. And as for Scrooge, well, it was always said of Scrooge that he knew how to keep Christmas well if anyone alive possessed the knowledge. May that also be truly said of all of us.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love. We rest in this
Spirit of life. The holiday season can be difficult for so many people. Bring to each of us, in our own way, moments of stillness, and help us find a sense of equilibrium, calm, joy, and gratitude during this busy time. Using the variety of spiritual, soul-enriching, and heart-nourishing practices found among us, may we each find our own way to enlightenment, to open our minds and our hearts, and to open our spirits to a deeper, more compassionate understanding of ourselves, others, and the world around us. Grant us the awareness to stop and breathe when we feel frightened, overwhelmed, angry, unsure. May we have the courage to not turn away from ignorance and want. Help us do our part to eliminate need and counter ignorance with the light of truth. This holiday season, may each of us be a beacon of light to others. May we practice kindness and compassion, the religion of Scrooge and the Buddha. All of this we offer in the name of everything glorious and good. Amen.
Our service may be drawing to a close, but there's always coffee hour. Please pour a cup of your favorite beverage and zoom on in. Join us for coffee at go.uucentralct.org/coffee. That's go.uucentralct.org/coffee. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Our service this morning is ended, and so we put out the flame of our chalice. And yet we take that flame with us in our hearts. I wish for you this week that you keep that light with you in your heart as a reminder to find some stillness when and where you can, in ways that work for you. Amid pandemic and confusion and winter and holidays, may a stillness that is soul-enriching find you, and may you find joy in it. Go in peace, holy ones. We'll see you next week.
Find the stillness, hold the stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower.